my name is Christina and tonight I'll be sharing a short story with you. So when I was little, my parents always took me to Sunday school, and you'd hear about these crazy stories in the Bible. And one always stuck out to me, and it was about a boy and the colorful coat that his dad gave to him. Some of you might have heard this story, but it's about Joseph and his colorful coat. So the three main points that I'll be talking about tonight are about Joseph and his brothers selling him into slavery, the trials that Joseph endured while he was in Egypt, and how eventually Joseph saved his family from a famine. So Joseph was the youngest of all his brothers, and because of this, his father, Israel, loved him. Israel loved Joseph so much that he even bought him a colorful coat, but this made his older brothers hate him. Joseph didn't know that his brothers hated him, so one night he had a dream, and he shared with his brothers the dream. In the dream, his brothers were bowing down to him. This made his brothers hate him even more. So one day, Israel had asked Joseph to go out into the fields where his brothers were working to check up on them. While Joseph was walking out to his brothers saw him, and they plotted to kill him. But when Joseph got there, instead of killing him, they ended up selling him to Midianite merchants who were headed to Egypt. They took Joseph's coat, they dipped it in blood, and they gave it back to Israel and told him that Joseph had died. When Joseph made it to Egypt, he was sold to a man named Potiphar. Potiphar was one of Pharaoh's officials. Potiphar he did find favor with Joseph, and he made him an attendant, that he oversaw the household. It was said that Joseph was a very attractive man. Potiphar's wife especially thought that Joseph was attractive, and she tried to sleep with him. But Joseph, being a godly man, turned her down because he knew that would be a sin. Potiphar's wife tried multiple times to sleep with Joseph, but he continually turned her down. Eventually, Potiphar's wife, because she was angry, went to Potiphar and she lied to him, saying that Joseph tried to sleep with her. So Potiphar got very angry with Joseph, and he put him in jail with the rest of the king's prisoners. While Joseph was in jail, he heard that Pharaoh had a dream, and that no one in all of Egypt could interpret the dream. But Pharaoh heard that Joseph was able to interpret it. So he pulled Joseph out of jail, and he asked him what the dream meant. Joseph told Pharaoh that his dream meant there would be 7 years, plenty of food and farming, followed by 7 years of famine. After Joseph interpreted the dream, Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of all of the land of Egypt. Nothing was to be done unless Joseph said it was supposed to be done. So while Joseph was working, he took all the extra food and grains and he put it in the cities to wait for the famine so that they'd be prepared for it. All people outside of Egypt would come in and either buy or trade for grain and food so that they could survive. One day, while Joseph was working, his brothers came because they needed food. Joseph noticed them and recognized them immediately, but his brothers didn't recognize him. So Joseph was very harsh with them. He was still angry with them, and he tested them multiple times, asking about their family, if their father was still alive, and he demanded that they bring their youngest brother back to Joseph. Once they brought their youngest brother back to Joseph, he revealed himself to them and told them that he was still alive. After this happened, Pharaoh found out that Joseph's brothers had come to Egypt for help. So he told Joseph to bring his brothers, his father, and all of their family to Egypt so that they would be taken care of and have plenty of food for the rest of the years of the famine. Joseph had a hard life. His brothers sold him into slavery, but because of that, years down the road, Joseph was able to save his family from the famine. So tonight, I've shared with you the three main points that I talked about was Joseph and how his brothers sold him into slavery, the trials that Joseph had to endure while he was in Egypt, and how eventually Joseph was able to save his family from famine. So now you've all heard about Joseph and his colorful coat. Thank you.